Hey, what is up, everybody? Adam here, the Roof Strategist. We're going live, waiting for folks to pop in, drop their questions. I got a few questions already set up from the emails that everyone responded to. So if you didn't join the 30-day sales challenge yet, be sure to do that. You can find it on a link. It's at the top of all the videos, or you can go to roofstrategist.com/30-day sales challenge, and that'll bring you there. I'm going to go ahead and pop a link here in the chat so anyone can join if they haven't already. And we are going to jump right in. Where'd that go? Roof Strategist 30-day sales challenge. Boom. All right. Coming in the chat for those if they haven't already joined. So let's jump right in. We got 5 people with us live. Thank you guys for joining. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. But to kick things off, I'm going to look at my other monitor. I've got some questions that have been submitted that I've got some notes on that I'm going to start addressing here on the fly. And feel free to chime in as we go. And again, welcome. Hey, what's up, Felipe? Thanks for joining us, man. Before we jump in, guys, drop in the chat. How's the sales challenge going? And if you haven't already, join it up top. And we're going to jump right into some questions. Felipe, where are you joining from, man? And if you haven't done so, yeah, pop in the chat. Let me know where you're joining in from. Alabama, awesome. So Alabama's a harder market. Obviously, no ice and water shield, a little lower margins, but you guys get a lot of weather down there, and it's a great place to sell some roofing. So, all right, as folks trickle in, looks like there's some more folks joining in. Colorado, Graham, that's my hometown. I'm in, hometown state, Westminster, too, from Colorado. Joshua, I was just at Costco in Westminster yesterday, actually, on my way back from a wedding. So welcome, Colorado, guys. We've had an interesting year this year, not quite as crazy as last year. That's funny, Josh. I wonder, I was there about, what was it, 3 o'clock? I think. So maybe we crossed paths. I was actually driving around in one of those scooters because I fractured and sprained my ankle. So I was like the old, the old fat lady cruising around in one of those. So small world, guys, small world. All right. So I'm going to jump into some questions. As you have them, drop them into the chat. I'll answer them on the fly. First question that came in was from MJ. Actually, I'm going to save MJ's question. I'm going to start first with a question from Carlos. I think it was Carlos. Yeah, Carlos said, hey, he got his first roof bought. One is pending. The guy has issues with paying his deductible. Guys, this deductible thing is like the number one objection that we get. Am I right? Like, people will always say, hey, yes. Oh, Houston. I worked with some companies in Houston, by the way, Tim. I've been down there a few times and stayed on a houseboat on Lake Conroe. But yeah, so let's get back to the deductible. When people come out with the objection, hey, I don't want to pay my deductible, or I'm going to go chat with someone else, there's some language that I use to spin the conversation around, because the deductible is the hot topic, right? I'm assuming here that everyone has had an experience where they've either lost a job to someone who's eaten a deductible, or they've had some sort of issue where a homeowner says, can you waive the deductible? What is happening there is usually in stage 4, right? Stage 4, meaning the homeowner has check in hand and they're at a point where they want to start getting bids, and they think it's just like their car. Someone dinged in their bumper and they're going to go to a couple body shops, get quotes, get a check from the insurance company, pay for it, and pocket the difference. Doesn't work that way with roof sales. The reason is we're only getting the ACV, or the actual cash value payment up front, and the balance. So let's say, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to walk through how I do it with the homeowner. So Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I totally understand you wanted to see if we can absorb the deductible. I would ask too if I was you. And I like to address it head on like this, by the way. And I'd like to educate you on the process, because most people think of a home claim similar to an auto claim, where you might have someone that dings your bumper and you're going to go farm out some quotes, try to pocket the difference. Now, the difference with a home insurance claim is that, let's say your roof's 12 years old on a 30-year shingle. They're only going to give you what a 12-year-old roof is worth. So it's not the full $20,000 that you see here. It's really only like $12,000. So they're going to pay us the $12,000 up front. We get the work done and then invoice the insurance company. Then they release the final funds after the product is done and it's been invoiced. So if we invoice the, let's say, $18,000, because we're going to absorb your $2,000 deductible, they're only going to pay the amount of the claim less your deductible, because that's your contractual obligation with the insurance company. So what I have to offer you, by the way, you should write this down. I call it my price lock guarantee. Now, guys, this is marketing language to give an identity to the deductible that actually makes it sound like it's working in the favor of the homeowner. Say, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I have a price lock guarantee. Now, if you work with me, I'm going to ensure that you pay your deductible no more. Okay. Now, unless, and then you can go through if there's any rotted decking, $50 a sheet or whatever your company charges. Now, the reason I do that is that allows me to play by the law. You and I both don't go to jail for fraudulent activity with the insurance company. I get all the work done. Anything that I might find in the process of doing your work is billed to the insurance company directly, so you don't owe anything out of pocket. Now, yes, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, this can and does happen. And I'll tell you a true story. I had a guy come to me. I did his roof. He wanted a bid. I was a new salesman, so I gave him a bid. Now, it was a perfect storm. I miscalculated the square count. So I totally underbid this thing because I messed up the pitch when I put the bid together in Xactimate. I'm sure you guys might have done that. It's a steep roof. It's like a 12-12. And I quoted it for a walker at a 412. So I got screwed. All of a sudden we get in there. Not only was it 2 layers, it was 3 layers. Bottom layer was wood shake. The wood shake was hidden incredibly well over some edge metal. So once we got into it, we had to pull all the plywood out, redeck the entire roof. And it cost the homeowner an additional $13,000, 7 or 13, and whatever it was, it doubled the price of the roof. He was freaking out and I didn't know it was a claim. And I said, hey, I'll go to bat for you if we can remedy this, because I did make a mistake on the bidding. It really hurt me out, but I can also save you all this money by handling it with the insurance company. And if that wasn't in place and it was a bid project, the homeowner's got to pay. So what we want to do when we face this deductible issue, and Carlos, if you're watching this replay, which I'm going to email it to you in response to your email, is to flip the conversation around and sell the idea of the price lock guarantee. Sell it as something beneficial to the homeowner, that they do not owe a dime more than their deductible unless there is elective upgrades or any rotted deck boards that need to be replaced at $40, $50 a sheet. And usually you'll have a pretty good idea if they are there, right? There might be 1 or 2. We've all had the scary job that's had a few that come up, but again, we really want to take control of that deductible piece. All right. So Carlos, that is to answer your question about the issue paying the deductible. By the way, in the Roofing Sales Accelerator Marketing Pack, which is my proven marketing material, I use that language in my direct mail letters. I use it on my door hangers because it does a couple things. It tells someone when you do leave some literature at the door, again, whether you use my stuff or whether you write your own, if you use ask me about my price lock guarantee, people think they're saving money, right? Price lock guarantee is a guarantee of saving money. So they're like, oh, I want to know about that. So they'll reach out over the other guy. It says like free upgrade, shingle upgrade, we'll pay your deductible, what other garbage the mainstream uses. And we don't want to fall in the same block because everyone says free lifetime shingle upgrade or we'll pay your deductible. First of all, that's illegal in most places. And if it's not, it's unethical. And most importantly, it's not profitable for you to give away money. You give away, let's say, I saw on the comments on video 1 for the sales challenge, which by the way, congratulations everybody for joining it, because it has been awesome seeing everyone's commitments to themselves. But when you make that commitment to make those sales, let's say it's 80 sales in a season and you give out $1,000 deductible on each one, that's $80,000 in sales. Now, what would your commission be on an $80,000 roof? That's essentially what you're losing. You're giving it away without even trying. So we don't want to do that. So again, that price lock guarantee is a really, really powerful language. Now, another person asked, which by the way, I'm just going to plug this in now. When I mentioned the Roofing Sales Accelerator Marketing Pack, that I use that price lock guarantee, I got another question saying, hey, what's in the pack? What is it that you sell? I get a lot of people reaching out saying, hey, tell me about your program. Guys, I do things completely differently than everybody else. I was a consultant in this space. I fell into it by being broke. I did another video on how I went from earning $20,000 a year to $140,000 in my first roofing season with zero training. I fell into it probably a lot like you guys. I was told you could make 6 figures. I didn't know how. And I just said, hey, that'd be great. I couldn't even fathom what that amount of money meant. So I fell into it. I had no training. Within 6 weeks, I was a branch manager because my manager was out working another storm. I then was the general manager, regional manager, and then the COO, which is essentially the VP of a multi-million dollar company working in states from all throughout the Midwest, from Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio. We had an office in Colorado. We had an office in Montana and in Indiana. And I was traveling around all of that. So, by the way, Jamie, I'm sorry. Can you build me a roof with a discount? I'm gonna touch on that in a second. I was traveling around doing all this stuff on my own. After that, I decided to help other companies. So I've consulted with companies from $3 to $13 million all over the year, helping them grow sales teams, train their sales teams. And I use the material that I've developed, not only for myself, but has been used by hundreds of sales guys, I'm sure at this point, all across the country. And can you build me a roof discount? That's funny. Um, but nice jawline. Oh, thank you, sir. So anyway, what's inside is Word document. So you buy it, it gets delivered to you instantly. You download it. There's yellow fill in the blanks. You literally just put in like your name, your company name, your phone number, and you can click print. So there's door hangers in there. There's my under the radar sales letter that's sent via the mail. There's call scripts, follow-up scripts, my referral program, a document to print out and hand to the customer that explains how the incentive structure works, which I've done other videos on that as well. So you'll see all that stuff. I just wanted to explain what's in that pack. By the way, the jawline's the genes, man. It's got to be. It's all. Thank my mom and dad. So, which, by the way, funny that you mentioned that because I was self-conscious and thought I had a round face as a kid. So you just made my day. But anyway, I just wanted to address that one, and we're going to jump into some other questions. And if you have any questions about the marketing pack, just email me. It's adam@roofstrategist.com. I'm happy to chat with you guys. I had another comment from someone saying, hey, I can't afford the pack. I'm struggling to get started, but this challenge is super helpful. I do want to reiterate, guys, I do this channel because I was charging a lot of money. Most of the clients that work with me were investing between $30,000 and $70,000 for one-on-one consulting. And I kept feeling like I was only helping the big guy, right? And there was churn and burn. And I wanted to help the guys that had my story, who came into the field, who were making no money at all. I couldn't afford gas to go see my family for Easter. And what made the difference is this business. So that's why all the training on my channel is free. You'll see other people, they're gating it, they're selling it, they want to charge a premium. I want to help you, the salesman, or you, the guy that's just starting his business, who was a salesman, who's growing a team, to have the success that I experienced. So all my training on this channel is free. The only thing that I have for sale is completely optional. By the way, I do have a 100% money back guarantee. Try it for 30 days. If it doesn't work, let me know. I'll respond and chat with you. I'll let you know what's maybe you're doing that's not working, and I'll help you fix it. And if not, I'll refund your money. This is a passion project of mine to help you guys. So, and when I get the comments saying, hey, I can't afford your pack, I'm struggling, guys, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you use my stuff. Yes, it's proven. Yes, it will help you. Yes, it has helped you. I had another guy just email me that he got 4 leads off the door hanger by working an install. People that are getting leads off the direct mail letter. People that are owning this referral program. I had one guy generate 13 referrals from one customer. So yes, this stuff works, but don't let that hold you back. Follow the system that you're learning in the sales challenge. Remember, this is a multi-touch marketing approach. Show up and knock the door. Leave a door hanger if they're not home. Write down the address, send the direct mail piece. Go back again another time. Now you have a reason to say, hey, I left some information. I popped something in the mail. I wanted to follow up. It's a great icebreaker in that conversation. And then if you can, use a resource to grab the phone number like call information, or even the white pages to grab their information and call them up. So when you have these multiple touches, it's going to work. What will not work is taking a lazy approach where you just show up at someone's house and you throw something on the door, right? This is sales, guys. Like, we got to push ourselves, and we will be uncomfortable at times. And that's how it is. So Jamie, is it difficult to get into this sector? That's a good question. Now, roofing sales, no, it is not difficult to get into. Companies want to hire, they want to grow. And what's most important, whether, by the way, this is for owners and Jamie, when you asked, is it difficult to get into? The answer is no, because all people care about is your personality and your ability to drive sales. So if you're an owner who's hiring, yeah, you can hire guys who are talented. So I sell hiring ads as well. Same thing. They're proven. I've tested them. They've been through multiple versions and revisions that are targeting recent college graduates. We have some I've written some that are targeting folks that came from like the restaurant industry, servers, bartenders, people who have interpersonal skills, maybe that work in sales at like a shoe store. These are all people that can come into this industry and know how to interact with people. So getting into the industry is not tough. Staying in the industry and succeeding is harder. In terms of being an owner and hiring folks, the biggest thing is focusing on quality talent, people you can trust, paying appropriately, and having the right training program in place. So Jamie, let me know if that answers your question. In terms of the consulting space, to get into what I used to be doing, which was a one-to-many approach. Now I do offer consulting. Folks can fly to me here in Colorado. I'll train teams in a group. We do some role play. I've spoken at events around the U.S. I actually spoke at the first Win the Storm conference. So those are, to get to that place, you got to have a track record. You got to have some experience that people can grow from, and you have to have some really big wins under your belt. Get there, and yes, people will pay for it. Yeah, dude. And no, Jamie, fire those questions away, man. I don't care if you blow up that chat. This time is for you guys. Jamie, while you put together your questions, I'm going to jump into Kevin's question. So Kevin, how can I juice the insurance company with a good back office? Dude, gold mine question. There's a couple of options. I'll give you a teaser. Coming up after the 30-day sales challenge, I just did an interview with Garrett, who founded oneclickcode.com. That's this website. I'm going to put it in the chat. Oneclickcode.com. So what One Click Code will do, it's a free resource, by the way. I always put out cost-effective and vetted programs that I believe in. If you type in a property address, it will generate a report for that property that shows verified building code, who's the building inspector, what codes are enforced, and that will help you supplement. So I'm all about profitability. And anyway, Jamie, I'll get to you in a second. Kevin, use that tool to supplement. But the most important thing in this business is profitability. It's not top line revenue, right? So I earned a really good living in my first year in sales. As a COO, we did really well, which let me do really well, but we did that by focusing on profitable jobs. So we had an internal process, Kevin, that allowed us to quickly audit a job coming in. We had a baseline price per square. We knew if we needed to hit this, knowing our average cost per square on material and our average cost per square on labor. And we wanted to have a percentage markup so we can make money, pay the salesperson. The company makes money enough to warrant it and stand behind it and be a good company, right? Because there's nothing wrong with profitability. There's no shame. We have to do this to earn a living. Now, yes, you can go out of line and sell some things that aren't ethical, which I do not agree with and do not condone. But in terms of earning the most, it's all about profitability. And for the sales guys watching, your commission may be on profitability and others might be on gross sales, meaning the total sales you bring in, you get a percentage. So if you're on that front, it's up to the company to worry about profitability. You drive sales. If you are paid on profitability, it's important that you don't give away things. You scope things properly. You supplement accurately. You can do that in-house. There's other outside programs I could recommend to do that by either learning through programs and or through, what's the other word? Hiring an outside company to do the supplements for you. There's a number of them out there, and you can drop me a line. I can shoot you some recommendations. All right, let me pop back, and I'm going to go Jamie, Graham, and then, Kevin, awesome. Glad that helped, man. Jamie, I'm going to come back to you in just a second. Actually, we'll just jump into yours, and then Graham, I'm coming to you next. Is this your company? If it is, how do you start your own business and make it run decently? Jamie, great question. So complete transparency, I was a COO, which is basically the vice president. I was essentially running all the day-to-day operations, setting offices, training, and coordinating management team, and handling all the marketing and sales efforts. It was not my company. That being said, I'm an entrepreneur. I have this business. I have another business. I've started multiple businesses, and the nature of that is many fail. The ones that do well succeed. And you're talking to me today. So how do you do it and run it profitably? Number one, if you are a salesperson watching this, start lean. Branch off on your own. Don't worry about hiring people. That's the biggest mistake. Learn the system the right way. Learn a sales system by following these videos that I teach, which teaches you a sales system that is repeatable. So when you hire a guy, you hand off the reins, say, do it this way. Hire slow and focus on profitability. And as you hire, you need to focus on sales, not just putting bodies out there. They need to be worth your time to manage. And if they're not, they need to be let go. Okay. So Jamie, let me know if that answers. If not, continue. Just fire, man, if you got more questions. Graham, hey, Adam, I knock doors and people seem to be guarded when I knock on the door. How can you eliminate that? Jamie, you crack me up, man. Graham, when you talked about people being on guard, dude, this is door-to-door sales, and this parlays into a question I got. So Graham, I'm going to answer your question head on right now. And I'm also going to address, you know who you are. You sent me an email. You said, hey, can you keep me anonymous? And I'm going to read that email because Graham, this is right in line with the question you asked. Let me pull it up real quick. It was from, here it is. So I got someone that preferred to be anonymous. And she said, how to overcome the not so nice people that say not so nice things. We call those people a-holes. We've all experienced them. I believe that's one of my worst fears that doesn't allow me to actually get out of my car and go canvassing. So Graham, I know it, man. I've had my teeth kicked in, get the F off my property. I'm calling the cops. who the F are you? You're the 12th guy here. You're a scumbag. Why are you knocking doors? Are you a storm chaser? We've heard them all. So I want to give you guys a couple of pieces of advice. First of all, there's another video that, yes, in Clement, is this trustworthy? How do I know who you are? The best thing you can do is to be authentic, which is tough, right? When you try to be authentic, you're not. So just be you, and it happens through experience. So I want to leave you with a few things because I know this is a pretty big hot button. Number one, I made a lot of my sales by catching people when they were already outside, okay? When they were outside, I knew their guard was down, they were mowing. If they were mowing, I waited, and I just start some small talk. Like I worked a storm in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison, Wisconsin is known to have these two really big lakes around town. This guy's got a boat there. I'm like, oh, dude, great boat. I was just out on Lake Mendota the other day, my brother's boat. Have you been out a bunch this season? And the guy will start responding. And it's just an icebreaker. Say, listen, hey, I respect your time. I know you're mowing your lawn. I just wanted to chat with you real quick. And then go into your pitch, right? And the last video I just put out was about starting that process and knowing what stage in the claims process the neighborhood's in. Again, a quick refresher. Stage 1 is no claim. Stage 2, partial payment. Stage 3, denied. Stage 4 is check in hand. We need to approach these differently. So number one, find what works. Some of the sales guys that worked for me hated to catch people outside because they got rejected. For me, I loved it. I also did really well on the one-legger sales. I loved working neighborhoods where it was a stay-at-home mom. I'm a soft, sensitive guy, right? People relate to me. I'm also not a really tall guy, so I'm not overwhelmingly large at the door, to stay-at-home moms. They don't get intimidated by my presence, where if you're a really big dude, that might be more intimidating. Maybe you do well working in a retiree community. But either way, you just got to find your sweet spot. The second thing is just to be kind, okay? Is just to be kind. By the way, I'm going to answer the two questions that just came in about the successful business and ethnicity in just a minute. I just want to acknowledge that I did see those, so do stick around. So be yourself, find what works, and be kind to people. If someone's going to chew you out, be like, listen, sir, totally, you can honestly, if there's no shame in apologizing, like if you're not going to get through to them, that's okay, leave. But I will tell you, there's a guy that I talk with, old guy. His name's Gerald. I'll never forget it. He kicked me off his property 3 times, turned out to be my favorite customer, invited me in for food and drink all the time, told me about 4 of his neighbors, and I just kept stopping by. And I wanted to help him because he had an organic shingle that was completely destroyed and rotting. He was going to need a new roof. And I said, hey, listen, like, I know I'm stopping by again. I just worked with Peggy, your neighbor. We're getting a roof. All I'm saying, let me hop up. And again, use the phone, guys. Use your phone to take pictures. Say, I'm not here to try to sell you anything. Like, yeah, I make a living talking to people like this, but I do a service. I conduct a service that needs to happen at your home. And my job is to make it as convenient for you as possible. So if you're not interested, totally understand. I apologize for wasting your time. Now, if you are interested, I'm here to make it easy. I can either serve you right now, or I can come back at a time that's convenient. And unlike most people, by the way, most sales guys are going to say, hey, they'll be trained to say, hey, show up at the door, then make the appointment to come back so it looks like you're busy. That's BS. Guys, if you're there, show up. Show up and say, I will do this right now. Why would you come back? It's a waste of time. And if they're hot to buy and they're excited for that inspection, do it. Because otherwise you're going to leave. And then by the time you come back, someone else might have been there and done it on the spot. So do the inspection there and let people know, Graham, to overcome that objection. Listen, I'm in the home services. My core objective is to make your life as easy as possible. So you don't have to call people. You don't have to schedule appointments, wait for people to show up late. I'm here now and I can help. I can either do this now, or I can come back at a time that's convenient for you. I'm in the area Tuesday. Does the morning or evening work? And then boom, you have your time booked. Okay, so that's an option. The last piece of advice I have is to not take it personal. When someone's yelling at you, think of the last time you had issues with a cable bill or your cell phone bill, right? You're calling up the company to complain. And sometimes you're going to get that supervisor who's just a butthead and you're screaming at them and you're like, you freaking asshole, my bill's off the charts. It's too high. You didn't do this. They didn't do that. I talked to that guy. So you're unloading on this person who, for all you know, is a really kind, loving person who would be your best friend outside of that situation. And you just need to realize it's not about you. So I did do another video, by the way, search the channel. It's how to stay motivated when going door to door. You can't take it personal. Subtract yourself, put someone else in, they're going to get yelled at. It's just people. It's the nature of the beast. And definitely watch that video. I go into a cool analogy about an old Chinese proverb of a canoe floating down river. and a guy's yelling at the canoe saying, "You effing asshole, get out of the canoe, watch where you're going, you're coming right at me." And the guy's yelling and yelling and yelling, and no one moves. And then the canoe smashes into him, and he turns around and he's screaming at the canoe, and then he realizes no one's in the canoe, right? So that's the analogy, is that when we're projecting this anger and frustration, there's really no one in the canoe. There's no one that's personalizing this frustration with you. It's just that they're in a place in their life and they're taking it out because you're the guy on their doorstep. So, and Jamie, by the way, door to door sales. You're showing up, knocking doors, and doing your pitch. All right. Graham, will you let me know? Did that answer your question? If not, I'm going to dive in deeper or come back. But while you answer, Graham, because I do want to make sure you got the question you were looking for. And same thing, is this trustworthy? Just to piggyback on that, Clement, great question. Is this trustworthy? Using the credibility of your company. Hey, we've served X number of homeowners in this area. Our office is located, and then mention where your office is located. But that type of thing to show that credibility and authority is great. Graham, awesome, man. I super appreciate it. It's going to help you out. If you have any questions, let me know. Graham, but by the way, once you do get the program, the marketing, the roofing sales, and marketing accelerator pack, it's going to deliver to you instantly and prompt you to reply to me with some questions. Those are going to inspire other videos. Waterbender, how many questions do I own at the moment? 2. This and another one in the marketing world, actually. So I spend my entire life helping people market and make a lot of money using marketing. And it's all conversational marketing to build trust and credibility and authority, and connecting the right people with a good business. And it's all about doing good business out of integrity and taking care of people and getting good reviews. All right. So let's see. I'm scrolling up here. Pinas said, "Is this business successful? I ran my own and it didn't go so well. I'm starting a new one." So that's a great question. In the nature of entrepreneurship, starting a business is it's a challenge. Not all succeed. I have started countless businesses in my journey, and 2 or 3 have stuck. It's just the nature of the beast. So how do you know when one's going to stick? 1 is you're prepared. 2, you have a business plan. Number 3, run lean, guys. When you start this business, don't spend a lot of money on vanity. Vanity meaning a truck wrap, a fancy website, all these things that are going to add up to a lot of money. Don't do that. I made a mistake starting a business that I invested while I was roofing. By the way, while I was a CEO, I invested $30,000. Cash rolling it while I was doing it, thinking it'd be a fun hobby side thing. I made $400. The reason is I spent too much money. I didn't run lean and I didn't have a business plan. So to answer your question of is this successful? Absolutely, it can and will be when you go out as the salesperson and generate sales and revenue. Then you take a look at the profitability. So once you sell the job, make sure that your material costs on average per square is going to be profitable to build, knowing that, plus your labor costs. And then you mark it up, whatever percentage is reasonable in your market. Every market's different. A roof in Minnesota costs different than Alabama. I saw someone here join from Alabama, and it's different than Texas. So factoring everything in, you need to focus on profitability. Once you do that and start outselling, because here's the thing, guys, think about it. Most companies, if you do $1 million in sales on your own, you will earn 6 figures. Okay. Now take away the company. If you're a salesman and you're running 1 crew, and you don't need to be big, guys. So many guys focus on the vanity. I want to get to 10 million a year. Guess what? I worked with an $8 million a year company that was making almost no money. Okay. I worked with a $3 million a year company that, while I was chatting with them in business, found out they were 30 grand in the hole that year. So top line revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. If you sell those jobs and you're not doing a commission share with a company and you're doing 100 roofs, that's a lot of money to make, and you don't need to be that big, and you can have really good lifestyle. And then you can start hiring people as you go, hiring sales guys, hiring a production manager, an office manager, an admin. And that's the art is to scaling it. So let's see, Tim, why are there so many people that say this is hail damage and they're all different? Is there a good reference to say this is definitely hail damage? Yes, that is a great question, Tim. hail damage is subjective, and this brings up a really great point for working with adjusters. So when you have an adjuster on site and you are trying to point out the hail damage to them, it is a subjective experience, meaning there could be 3 adjusters on a roof. By the way, I like to explain this to homeowners. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I want to talk to you about hail damage. And I'm going to show you guys how I do that. I say, imagine your shingle as my fist right here, okay? And you can see when I hold my fist really hard, it's really firm. That's how the shingle's supposed to be. But when hail impacts it, you make your fist loose, you can see that it bruises almost like a peach. It indents the shingle. And when that happens, it drives the granules into the mat of the shingle and they get really loose. So as it rains or freezes and thaws, if you're in a northern market, those granules are going to shed off and expose the bottom of the shingle to the sun. The UV rays are going to rot the shingle. And now the 30-year shingle that you have that you paid for is now only going to last, let's say, 15 years. Or even 10 years, depending on how bad it is. So that's why the insurance company covers it. Now, the difference is when you have a shingle that we need to look at and damage, every insurance company and every adjuster is going to interpret that differently because we're talking about granules on a piece of asphalt. Now, the difference is, imagine a car. There's a dent. You see a dent. A dent is a dent is a dent. We're all going to agree it's a dent. It's black and white, right? But with a roof shingle, it's very, very subjective. And when it's subjective like that, you're going to have different interpretations. So what I view as damage may not be the same as the others. My job is to point at everything and go to bat for you. Okay. So Tim, you will see a lot of people. Some people will say the matting needs to be bruised. Some people will look at granule loss. By the way, insurance companies change every year. I worked a storm. Again, this is another reference to a Madison, Wisconsin storm that I worked, which had American Family's corporate offices in Madison, Wisconsin. They bought everything. If American Family claim, I knew it's a laydown deal, even if the damage was incredibly, incredibly light, because American Family wanted to wow the market and get people to switch, because they'd say, oh, was your roof denied? No, I had American Family. They paid for it. So they wanted to own market share. The next year we had a small storm. American Family wouldn't pay for a thing. So policies changed, Tim. So is there a good reference? You'll see like engineering reports. They'll have their own standards. I wouldn't waste too much time, Tim, on that. What I do in my inspections, I go straight to the soft metal. Roof vents, edge flashing, window wraps, any aluminum siding. I grab my spotlight, which grab a high power spotlight like for hunting, and you shine it horizontally. Like if here's my notes for today, by the way. Grab it and shoot it down the side of the wall like that, and you'll see any little pings pop up. That's what I look for first. So Tim, please drop a comment. Let me know if that was what you were looking for. Let's see. All right. Perfect. All right, let's jump into some other questions here. So the other question I got was, what if the stage I'm targeting isn't right? So what they meant by that in the emails that have gone out and the videos that have come up. Oh, Tim, awesome, man. I'm glad that addressed it. If it doesn't, or you have questions, drop them here. The other question I want to ask. So the last video or question I want to answer, the last video I put out was all about the stage of the claims process. Again, 1 is no claim, which is a different pitch than 2, which is a partial payment. So if you showed up at someone's house and offered a free inspection, but the adjuster already came out and paid for the west elevation, we know out of the gate that that house needs to be supplemented to get paid for in full. So in order to get that roof approved, it's a whole different sale than a free inspection. Number 3 is a denial. Okay. The denial is a whole different animal. They have 1 shot left at getting that roof approved. And the 4th one is check in hand, right? So that's where an entirely different sales tactic comes to play. And I would highly recommend watching my other video, the 4 stages of the claims process, where I do a very, very big deep dive into that. So what I taught the other day was how to identify what the most common stages that you're experiencing in the storm to inspire how you're going to handle the rest of the sale. And with that, if you know that everybody, like, let's say massive storm hit, we're 9 weeks into the storm, 12 weeks into the storm, everyone's filed a claim. We need to have a different approach at the door. Well, what if we go into a neighborhood that's on the fringe and we decided, hey, we're going to work stage 3. We're going to knock the door, say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner. My name's Adam, the roof strategist. We're in the neighborhood. I just worked with Peggy, your neighbor. And a lot of folks we're seeing have had their roof denied by the insurance company from that hailstorm. Just wanted to stop by, and ask you, how did the claims process go when your insurance came out? Okay. So again, I'm reiterating here, we lead with that open-ended question of how did it go? So that's not a yes or no. We just want to start a conversation, because from that point, it's really easy for us to pitch. Now, what happens then? The question was, what happens if I'm pitching? How did it go with the insurance company? But that's not the stage they're in. What if they didn't get their roof denied? What if it was approved or partial pay for? And my answer is really simple. It doesn't matter. And why doesn't it matter? It doesn't matter because the homeowner has started a conversation with you. When you say, how did it go? And they say, oh, actually, our insurance came out and they already paid for half of it, but now we're trying to figure out if we should just do that, pocket the cash, or try to get it all paid for. Boom, you're in a conversation, right? It's simple. You start a conversation with the door, which is the core objective. Now you just pivot and you're like, cool, I know how to talk to that. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I'm glad the insurance covered part of it. And I'm really glad I stopped by today because I happen to have helped a number of people in the past. Do you mind if I hop up there and take a look? I'm going to take some pictures. And when I come down, I'm going to show them to you and chat with you on how we have done this in the past. And it's a combination as an insurance restoration contractor from having an expertise, not only in understanding the claims process, but having a deep understanding of the estimating software called Xactimate and how they write for things. And I'm going to give you guys an example here. And it's a story that you can use in your sales pitch. So I worked on a fringe area of a storm. State Farm came out and all they paid for was the gutter guard. So the gutter and leaf protection, as you know, is tucked underneath the shingles. The shingles lay on top of it and it's all soft metal. Well, it was all dinged up from hail, but the first adjuster could not find any hail damage, any substantial hits to the shingles. So it was denied. Homeowner was angrier than hell. And I was like, man, I didn't say this because this is a customer. It was a tough customer. We've all had those tough customers, right? So he was insistent. Adam, I signed that contingency. Let's give this thing another go. And I'm like, man, I can't. I'll do what I can for you. We'll see what happens. Adjuster comes out. He takes a look. He goes, well, we already paid for the leaf protection. And he tried to lift up a shingle. It was an old 3-tab shingle. And as he lifted it up, it cracked. So then he tried the next layer, lift that up. That started to crack. Well, in order to replace the gutter protection, the shingles needed to get lifted up, but it was irreparable because they were glued down. The result was an entirely brand new roof because of what I call a working commitment by the insurance company that identified and acknowledged outright that there was hail damage on that roof. And because of that, the entire roof got paid for. So always reference that working commitment. It's great that the insurance company made a working commitment to acknowledge not only that hail hit this property, but it did some damage. My job is to go to bat knowing how the installation takes place, what needs to happen, and the proper assessment from the insurance company. All right. Any other questions? I wanted to see that. Jamie, you've been just blowing me up with all types of compliments. And I know you're messing around, but you brought up one thing here that I am going to address. Has a roof ever collapsed? I want to tell you guys a quick story before we wrap up. And this is all about customer service and turning a horrible experience from a customer into a positive experience. So I get a phone call. I'm 3 hours away. Crew's doing a roof. It's a redeck. Okay. So we pulled the shingles. It was all wood shake. Had to pull all the decking off, redeck the deal, and then reshingle it. As the shingles were pulled off, all the deckings removed, freak storm rolled in with massive winds. The crew tarped the entire roof. Winds picked up, ripped all the tarps off, and it downpoured in this home for 45 minutes. I'm talking wood floors on the second floor, first floor, basement, side, all the walls. Everything was drenched. The guy's calling up. I can hear all the fire alarms going in the background, the house alarms going in the background, and the homeowner was freaking out. I showed up 3 hours later while I'm communicating with the crew on site. The house wasn't even livable for 6 weeks. We had to pay for alternate housing for these folks. It caused $75,000 worth of damage for them. We obviously picked it up between an insurance claim with our insurance as a contractor and the subcontractor. And guess what? By stepping up to the plate and just being honest and apologizing and doing everything we can, not only did that never go to court, a lawyer was never mentioned, I got a letter of recommendation from the homeowner of how we handled the situation out of integrity. So for everyone on here, and Tim and Graham and the anonymous person, you know who you are, who emailed that talked about challenging situations with customers, use those as an opportunity, guys, to rise to the occasion and give incredible service and communicate. Don't ever take it personal. Okay. Don't ever take it personal. I was the guy that was showing up at customers' houses when they wanted to sue you. I was the guy that was there when the HVAC exhaust out of the hot water heater got pulled up, and the homeowner thought they got carbon monoxide poisoning, and their husband was in the hospital, being screamed at, yelled at, threatened to be sued, called a piece of shit. I got the fire department there to run a check, got the roofing crew there to fix it. Turns out the guy got the stomach flu. There was no any of that going on. I didn't take it personal. I killed him with kindness. Issue is squashed. So always, always look for that opportunity to rise to the occasion. Don't take stuff personally. All right. People do business very differently when it's inside their home. They're nervous. It's like their own sanctuary. You got to respect it. And again, don't take it personally. When you rise up and you treat people well, you're going to get referrals even from the bad situations. It's just the way it is. So if anyone has any further questions, now is the time to drop them in the comment box. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. So everyone here, everyone who's watching this, I'm going to be sending this email out as a replay to everyone who's joined the official 30-day sales challenge. If you didn't already join, there is a link right here. Oops. I just clicked it and now it's all funny. There's a link at the top of the chat. I'll see if I can pull it in here as well. You can join the official challenge. You'll get some emails from me in order, and you'll get this replay. You can ask me questions. And if you're interested, you can get the Roofing Sales Accelerator Marketing Pack. I'll update this description with a link. All the videos on my channel will have a link there. Again, it's all my proven sales and marketing material. You plug in your information, your name, your phone number, your company name, you click print, you'll have door hangers, a direct mail letter to send, which I call the Under This Radar Sales Letter, my referral program, and all those goodies emailed to you instantly. You can literally start using this stuff right now. It's pretty awesome. And again, all backed by my 100% money back guarantee. No BS. Use it for 30 days. If you guys have any issues, just contact me. Reply to the email that delivers it instantly. Tim, I'm going to jump into your question before we wrap it up. How to get used to 1099 in between sales. Tim, amazing question. Read the book Profit First. Okay. The book Profit First has changed my life. I've implemented it in my business, both my businesses, and it's all about money management. When I first started selling, Tim, I was, as I told you, was earning $20,000 a year. I had $2,000 to my name. I was doing massage therapy at the time and barely making any money. I was working for one of those big name spa companies that you've probably seen or something similar. And everyone told me, Adam, don't jump into commission only without getting some traction, without making some sales. And I knew that I needed to give this thing everything I had to make that money and to start generating some business. Otherwise, I was going to do half-assed at my massage deal, and that would just take away from a big commission, because I knew a big commission was going to be thousands versus maybe $60 for a massage. And Tim, it takes smart money management. I knew what my rent was. I knew roughly what I was spending in gas. I knew my utility bill, and I was living on $30 a week in groceries at the time. And once I started to accumulate some funds, I needed to plan wisely, because obviously, as you know, over winter, off-peak selling season, you cannot spend everything you rake in, or you're going to go broke. You're going to come to the table needing a draw. So my rule of thumb, Tim, and the biggest things I can advise you guys on is a 1099 independent contractor. And for those that don't know what 1099 means, it's just an IRS classification, meaning you're an independent contractor. As an independent contractor, you essentially have all the liberties of running your own business for tax write-offs, meaning writing off your mileage, writing off your cell phone bill, all your supplies, your ladder, all that stuff is technically yours in your own business. And when you do that, it also means that your employer, the company you're working for, is not withdrawing taxes from your paycheck, which is obviously up to you. So Tim, my rule of thumb, and again, adjust if you're married, have kids, how you file. I was conservative. 35% of every single check that came in was set aside into a separate account that I set up that was specifically just to pay taxes at the end of the year. And then I just set a budget. So I would give myself basically a monthly allowance. So I put everything into like savings, a savings account, an income account, and I would draw from that. So that way that kitty grew. So during the off season, when I wasn't making those sales, I knew the cash was still available to come in, and I didn't spend it. Now, at first, I was stupid. I was driving a newer truck, bought myself a toy Mercedes. I had a boat. I had an ATV, paid cash for a kitchen remodel. And I wish I could go back and undo everything, right? Because I just got excited that I was earning money and I started to spend it. So plan wisely, look at your budget, withdraw money from taxes, and take a hard look at where you're spending money and just think, how can you run lean? And guys, I do that today. I'm doing well today. And I still do that. I still look at my expenses and I run lean. And I set aside things for rainy day, for vacation, for retirement. So Tim, drop me a quick note in the chat. Let me know if that answers your question to getting used to 1099 in between sales. It's tough on the spouse, tough on the girlfriend, boyfriend. But when you start to accumulate, it's mostly tough just getting started. But after you're started, if you can just push aside that nest egg, it'll really help. So again, Tim, I'm glad it helped. Definitely read the book Profit First. Essentially, for anyone that's still watching, it looks like we got some folks here still. For anyone that's watching, and Felipe, I'm going to answer your question in 2 seconds. For anyone that's watching, that book, essentially, all the money that comes in gets distributed to separate accounts. So on a percentage basis. So if you know that your living expenses are X amount, boom, that money goes into its own fund to pay for your living expenses. If you know that you want to invest a certain amount in retirement, boom, that goes in automatically every time money comes in. Same thing with setting aside money for taxes. And he'll explain the whole process. But now I have multiple accounts. Money comes in and it gets distributed virtually automatically. The account on my team handles it, but it was set up with strategy in mind. And that has been the biggest difference in my life in terms of money management. That's a hard thing when you start making money is it's too easy to spend it, especially when you don't know if you've never made that money before. When I made my first 6 figures, I literally did not know what to do with the money I was making. I made a lot of bad choices. Learned a lot though. And that's how it goes. So I'm hoping to help you guys kind of bypass that learning curve. All right, Felipe, what day out of the week is the best for door-to-door from your experience, and what are the best times? Felipe, this was a rock solid question. Really, really great question. And I'm going to answer it in a few different ways. There's no one size fits all answer. And I'm going to explain why. The one size fits all, if I were to pick one day a week, would be a Saturday between 10 and 2. Saturday mornings between 10 and 2 are the most profitable time of any time ever to be selling, because majority of everybody is off of work at that point. Now there's shift work, there's second shift, there's third shift, there's graveyard. But most people live on the 9 to 5, most. My now wife, when we started dating and I was in this, she worked graveyard, and then she was working till midnight from 1 in the afternoon till midnight or something like that. It was crazy hours. And we never saw each other, because I was up at 5 a.m. and home from work at 7, and she was at work till midnight and came home, went to bed at 3 after she wound down. So we didn't see each other. So if you were to knock on the door when I was gone and she was home, she'd be sleeping. Or gone for work. So anyway, Felipe, the single best time is Saturdays. I never like to show up too early. 10 a.m. is an appropriate time where 95% of people you're not going to disrupt by showing up at that hour. And the other few percent, it's okay. You know, it happens. 10 a.m., it's not socially inappropriate. The next best time would be in the evenings. And that's after school time. Oops, forgot to silence my phone. That'd be after school. So 3 p.m. roughly, 2:33 up until about 7 p.m. Sometimes guys will work till later in the summer when it's daylight. They'll work right up till it's dark. And I always did that. That was a good rule of thumb. People are out and active in the summertime. You know, if it gets dark at 9, I had no problem being out till 8:30. Now I wouldn't go knocking on someone's door, because if they have small children, they're putting them to bed, I wouldn't do that. But if they were still outside, or I saw the lights on and movement, things like that, I'd show up. But typically, if I were to like narrow that window, 3 p.m., 2:33 p.m. till dark would be great. 7 o'clock probably be like the latest comfort time, unless you see a lot of activity in the neighborhood. And then after that, I had a gentleman named Lonnie. Lonnie became a really close friend of mine, and we started together. And when I was in the management or COO role, and he was selling, he wanted evenings. He just found retiree communities, and he was working middays. So he'd find them and hit those between 11 and 4. And he'd do all his sales and all that stuff then, and then wind down during the evening. And the guy did really well. We worked a strategy together doing just that in a retiree community, older neighborhood, older homes and older folks. And he ended up doing, because we found this neighborhood with aluminum siding that was all in a fringe storm. No one had worked it. And all he went after is aluminum siding. And at the start of the season, 6 weeks, I forget the exact count, but it was near 60 roofs that he had sold, or 60 projects. Some were roof, most were aluminum siding, some were combo. And he did that before the season even kicked off. working retirees middle of the week. I mean, generated probably $80,000 of income before the season started. So, Felipe, drop a note. Let me know if that answers your question. But in a nutshell, retirees 10 to 4, traditional neighborhoods 3 to 7, and then everywhere else on the weekends. But with the storm, with the area you're working, you'll start to see trends. And if you're in the same areas over and over again, definitely keep note of those trends, because you might work a new storm that's, let's say, a blue collar community. I worked a storm in Montana, Billings, Montana. Good, Felipe, glad it helped. But when we were working in Billings, there was no one home. It was blue collar. A lot of people were commuting to the oil fields. So they were either gone or up early and then home at like 3. So we could drop by in the afternoons at that point. And other neighborhoods you'll see is very, very, very heavy on the retiree community, and some stuff, especially if you get into like white collar gated communities, you might see more stay-at-home moms or stay-at-home dads. So definitely work around the neighborhood, but use those as a rule of thumb to get started. All right, we just went like way longer than I anticipated. I thought this was gonna be like 30 minutes. So guys, thank you so much, guys and gals. I love seeing women join the industry, and I've had so many women jump in who just kick butt in this field. They have a soft tendency they leave a really warm impression at the door. They're a lot less intimidating. And this isn't demand's world. Unfortunately, it has been predominantly, but women in this industry can do incredibly well. And the great thing, you know what? I breezed over a question I just realized on ethnicity. I'm scrolling up to see if I can find it. Does ethnicity matter in this field? Yeah, speaker base 1. Does ethnicity matter if you want someone to hire you? The answer, I wish I could give you an answer that was how I would, if it were me, absolutely not. Would not matter at all. To some companies, could it? Yes. Is it legally allowed to? Absolutely not. And in terms of how you are presented at the door, guys, when you are dressed professionally, I don't care if you're white, if you're brown, if you're black, if you're Asian, purple, whatever, it doesn't matter. I believe wholeheartedly that all people will judge you on is how you make them feel. You've heard me say this over and over again. If you are professional in your appearance, which just means being clean. Guys, I have long hippie hair. I put it up like this. If I have it down, I make sure it's clean and tidy. I trim my beard up. I wear a collared shirt with my shirt tucked in. I present myself professionally. I carry myself. I don't wear baggy pants. I don't sag my pants. I look like a professional. If you look like a professional and you treat people kindly, nothing else matters. Yes, you will face racism. I hate to say it. I really do. It's a real bummer in this day and age. And certain markets are worse than others. I work some that were upset at the color of our crew's skin. And I said, guys, I would sit to a homeowner's face and I say, I'm not really sure why that matters to you. What I know is that to work for our company, they need to have all of the qualifications that we would require from anyone. They need to be licensed, insured. They need to do quality work. And whether it's a 7-year-old boy up there or an 80-year-old man, or it doesn't matter if they're black, white, purple, or green. By the way, I throw those colors in to make them feel silly. It doesn't matter who's on that roof. The warranty is from us, and we're going to be on site during the install, walking through and making sure you're taken care of. It doesn't matter the color of anyone's skin. And the same thing goes for you if you're in sales. And I apologize in advance if you're having experiences. I feel that really sucks if you're having a hard time getting hired. But again, there's bad people out there. There always will be. It's the way of the world. And like I said, no matter what, I've also seen people that are white that show up looking ratty that get the same treatment. And the reason I say that is it goes back to it. Dress like a professional, show up looking sharp, clean cut, and treat people well. Because scientifically, and these studies may have changed, you have 7 seconds to make a sound first impression. Okay. For some reason, now I believe it's actually shorter than that personally, but they say it's 7 seconds to make a sound first impression. So for me, I would always have magnets on my truck or decals just on the doors. Magnet, it doesn't matter, again, doesn't matter what I run. I wanted to park so they could see my vehicle, that I showed up with intention in front of their house. I did another video early in the channel, so you have to scroll back, date, like, do you walk door to door or do you drive your truck? I personally always drove my truck. The reason for that is I wanted them to see that I showed up with intention. It piques their curiosity when they see a vehicle in their driveway. Now, some people will tell you to park on the street, to not pull in the driveway. It all depended. If I could, I'd pull in the driveway because I wanted them to see that I was there with intention. not just some canvasser that was out door to door. I didn't want them to think that I was just being paid to generate leads or to bother them. I was going door to door with intention. I picked their home out. I wanted them to see me, if they were home, get out of the truck that was, and again, I did another video called What the Truck that says, it doesn't matter what you're driving. All that matters is how you make people feel. And I made a point to have them see it, that I got out again with intention to show up. And I'd walk to the door. I would make myself presentable, make sure my shirt was tucked in, fluff my shirt, grab my clipboard. I'd have, if I was required to have a peddler's permit or canvassing permit, I'd wear that as well. And again, that's all that matters, is they're going to have that eye on you as you're walking up. And again, doesn't matter your skin color. So I hope that answers the question on ethnicity. All right. Bama's All Pro Renovation says, I started out selling roofs with little to no training. By the way, join the gang. You're in the right place. And I learned by getting my face kicked in, but I cannot teach that. Yes. So true. Here's what I will tell you. Can you do me a favor as I answer this? Are you the owner of this company looking to hire? Or are you in a sales management role? Fill me in. Give me a couple of talking points to speak to your question. So yes, you're the owner. All right. Here's what you got to do. There's a video, and I'm going to see if I can find it while I'm talking to my other screen. I'm going to link to it for you. It's an hour-long training that's free on the channel. I have been hired by companies from $3 to $13 million. The last one I worked on was doing $13 million a year. And we did a quick audit of their sales team. My job, the reason I was brought in, was to help them grow and train a profitable sales team. They had a huge sales team. Again, some of these numbers are vanity. Like, oh, we got 30 sales guys. And I'm like, man, no, it wasn't. It was like 80. I think we got it down to 30. And my goal was to actually reduce the salespeople. And here's the reason. Because when you said you can't teach it, you and I learned the same way. We had no training. We got our teeth kicked in. We just didn't, you brush it off, learn it's not about you, and you learn what works. You learn how to ask for referrals. You learn how to give quality service, but it's not teachable and it's a rare trait. And what we need to do as owners is hire on the 5 character traits. I don't look at resumes. In fact, I stopped taking resumes. I make people call. I want to hear how they communicate, because this is a communication business. So in this video, the strategies that I teach helped this company audit their sales team. And I found that the sales team was producing on average like $150,000 in sales per year. That's top line revenue. Guys, that's like 10 roofs. Nothing. Not worth keeping. My minimum is about 400,000 minimum. Ideally $500 to $700,000 per sales rep. So I personally have written hiring ads that attract people in volume. I want a lot of people calling, not a little, and I want to filter them quickly. So I've done this for that company. I work with a company in Canada. I've worked with a company in Colorado. I've worked with them in Madison. I've worked in Atlanta. I've worked all over the US writing hiring ads. I've tested them, written them, and I've targeted very key people. I've targeted recent college graduates who are hungry. I have targeted folks that came from the restaurant world, servers and bartenders, other salespeople. So these are folks that might come from like a shoe sales or cell phone sales or home security sales, some sort of sales experience. And most importantly, would be what we call green beans. These are the folks new to the industry that we know we can groom. And in this video, and the reason I'm giving you the snapshot is it's long. It's an hour and 22 minutes. When you watch this, you're going to learn the exact strategy. So I made this video for my clients that had invested anywhere between $30,000 and $70,000 with me to train their team. I have since made that public and free because my entire model has shifted. So Bama's All Pro Renovations, I would recommend watching it. And with that, I'm going to drop a link. When you watch the video, you're going to learn how I interview for these 5 character traits. So Bama's All Pro, there's the link. Okay. Wait till we're done here before you watch it. You'll find it on the channel. If you just search recruiting, it'll pop up on the channel. By the way, I was a little fatter at that time. I lost a little weight. But anyway, I interview to the 5 character traits that I'm looking for. I never accept resumes. I make people call because I want to see how they communicate. I also make sure to always ask questions into their past. When you ask someone, will you consider yourself a diligent worker and strong communicator? Well, yes, I would. So people are always going to tell you what they think you want them to hear. So I teach a very unique interview style that essentially it's almost like an interrogation. We're using really subtle tactics to get people to tell us the truth. So I'm always asking questions about their past. I am only looking for them to tell stories to me. So if they can tell me a story of the time, I don't want like, how would you handle a customer complaint? I don't want these philosophical questions. I want actual. Tell me about a time where a customer yelled at you. I want to hear what they said and how you handled it. And they're going to tell you a story, and you're going to know the BS meter will fly if they're not telling the truth. And if they are telling the truth, it's really easy for you to identify whether they have the thick skin, whether they're persuasive, whether they embody the other character traits that I identify of the top 5. So my interview style, Bama's All Pro Renovations, is all about bringing a large drove of people in using the ads, which, by the way, if you do want the ads, they are available for purchase. They're at the bottom of every video. I'll just put a link in here too if you want them. Everything from the video is available, all the assets, all the hiring stuff. So run the ads. They attract lots of people via phone call, screen them, then set up the interviews. And from there, all you're looking for is to identify if they have all 5 of these traits. That is it. It's not what they've done in the past. By the way, one big mistake I made is by hiring guys that sold me. It was an early mistake. So a guy that said, hey, I used to work for this company. I did $400,000 in sales or $500,000 in sales. When I came in late, it was at the end of the season. I'm like, okay, I'll give him a shot. The guy did nothing. I wanted him to succeed. He never did. So now all I look for is yes or no. Do they check the box? Do they have a character trait? So Bama's All Pro Renovations, do me a favor. If that answered your question, let me know and drop a comment. And if not, I want to continue answering it so you got the answer you were looking for. And as you're typing there, the other thing is you got to teach a system and give them the right training, set them up for success, teach them how to schedule their day, send them to this channel and watching those videos, because it'll make or break their success. So, cool. All right, guys, I think that's it. I'm going to call this a wrap. We've gone a full hour, and for all you that are here sticking around and giving a thumbs up, super, super appreciate you. This channel would not be here without you. I'm so glad that you guys are finding some insights. I love getting the comments. Someone just posted that they've doubled their sales. It was a mom and pop operation. They've watched my stuff and doubled their sales. Guy named Nick just messaged me. He's running a sales team of 3. He's got their entire team watching these videos, and they just all joined as a team, the 30-day challenge. Felipe, by the way, you're very welcome. Thanks a lot for joining, man. Appreciate you. And I had another gentleman who he runs over 100 sales reps in other offices, and he's using a video for my Under the Radar sales letter. And he says, this is gold. It's helped me get behind the gated communities. Thank you, Adam. I'm rolling this out right now. So these success stories is what makes this channel go round. So I'm going to close with this. If you haven't done so already, click like on the video. Drop any comments you have, any questions that didn't get answered here, because I go back, you'll notice all my videos, I'm responding to those questions, and I'm more than happy to produce these videos around what you guys are looking for. So Ken, my pleasure, man. Thanks for joining in. And if you didn't already, join the 30-day challenge to get on the email notification list. And Matthew, this is 99% focused on storm work. It's a very, very different sale. I am going to be introducing some stuff on retail later. So thank you all for joining me. Like, subscribe to the channel, add this to your playlist for future reference. And if you haven't done so already, take a look at the Roofing Sales Accelerator Marketing Pack. As you scroll down, you'll read a little bit about my story. I go over everything that's in there, the money back guarantee. And if you do decide to jump on board, once you do check out, it'll get emailed to you instantly. And you can ask me any questions you have via email. Guys, thanks so much. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you again all for joining. I will see you on the next one, and stay tuned. New videos coming for the challenge, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and one splice throughout, and some other bonus fun stuff coming in. So a lot of good action coming your way. Thanks, guys.